Hi, this is Bill over at Major Hiker, coming to you once again with a short video asking this question: is the Meals Ready to Eat, an MRE, something to consider as a source for survival items? Stick around and let's find out. Well, as you can see here, we have a couple of MREs here, Meals Ready to Eat, and these are very standard items that you experience and possess at times and given to you when you're in the military, especially if you're in the Army or the Marine Corps. Back in the day when I first came in, the packaging was dark brown, but they've obviously improved and advanced since then. And so this is one I picked up here locally. We have access to these on the base commissary, which is the equivalent to a grocery store, and so we have an opportunity to get these. So as I was using these one day, I was looking through them and I saw, hey, there is potential survival items in here. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you what I discovered in this. So let's take a look. Well, all right, as you can see here, we have an MRE. Put the other one back. This one, just as a way of a disclaimer, I've already pre-opened to make sure that the items that I found in other ones was in this particular one. Because like I said, a lot of the MREs you get now have a lot of variety in them. They're not as standardized as they used to be, especially with the accessory packet. So I did open this one, but I did not take something from another MRE and put in here, etc. For this particular video. This is what's in here is what was actually in this bag. So why is it important to look at these MREs? Well, first of all, the MRE is kind of interesting because when I was on active duty in the military and we get issued these, a lot of guys would take these, a lot of soldiers would take these and break them down or field strip them. And so what would that look like? Well, you get this, you would open it up and you would pull it out and they would say, well, I don't need the bag. They would throw the bag away. They would pull it out of the wrapper here, this vacuum sealed wrapper that a lot of them are coming in. The older ones did not have this. They would say, well, they would keep the spoon, all the drink powder, we'd keep that. The cheese, they would throw that away if they didn't like the cheese. They had the accessory packet. If they liked the snack, they would keep the snack. If they liked the main course, they would keep that. If they liked any other food items in there, they would keep those. If they wanted to keep the main course, they would keep the heater, or at least until they used it. And sometimes there's a secondary food item in here. If they liked that, they would keep it. If not, they would throw it away. And this is, what's this for? I don't use that, so I throw that away. This is the sleeve for the heater and the main course if you heat it up. So after you use that and used your main course, you would throw that away and not keep that. You would break open the accessory packet, or look at it. If there wasn't anything in there you wanted, you would throw that away. And then you would take the rest of this, okay, that you did keep. You would put it in your little Ziploc baggie or some other thing, and you would put it in your rucksack or your deployment bag or whatever, and there you would go. If you didn't have a Ziploc bag, then you would just repurpose the MRE outer bag and tape it up with your duct tape or your 100-mile-an-hour tape. But let's look at this from a different perspective, okay? So like I said, we have the accessory packet. Like I said, I've opened it up to make sure that what was in there is what I needed for this demonstration. And we have the main course stuff here. All right, so let's kind of look at this from a different perspective. Obviously, you're not going to keep the wrapper. The wrapper here in this vacuum pack seal isn't necessary. So under any circumstances, you would throw this away. Okay, so we pretend throw it in our little basket down here. So let's look at these items now from a different perspective. Okay, so you have the bag, you have the accessory packet, and you have your meal items right here. So as we look at this, let's look at this and explain to you these items as potential survival kit items. First of all, you have your bag. And this is a pretty thick bag, all right? Now, in Desert Storm, when I was in Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, when we were moving out to our main site, our main assembly area it was called, we had to drive about an 18-hour drive in our trucks and our vehicles, and there was no stopping. So if you had to use the bathroom, these empty MRE bags became your temporary bathroom, okay? Some people talk about urinating in empty water bottles or something like that. Well, sometimes this is all you had to do your business in, and then of course it got tossed out the window. But that's not what this is for this purpose. What this is to think of as a collection device. You can collect water in this, okay? You can collect tinder, you can collect other things in here, and it's thick enough, as long as it doesn't have any more holes than what you used to open it with, you can, again, collect water with this or put other items in here and then tape it up with your duct tape or your 100-mile-an-hour tape of that nature, or just take a paracord and tie it up that way, just however you need to secure it, okay? So that's this, okay? Now we'll talk about this accessory packet in a minute, so we'll just set that up here. So here you have your cheese or your peanut butter. Sometimes these are peanut butter, and there's also a jalapeno cheese in here. But again, this is your fats and stuff like this. So this is your kind of your go food and to a certain extent. So let's say you like the peanut butter, but you don't want to eat it right now. Well, you take the peanut butter, you set it aside, okay? And that becomes your emergency food, part of your emergency food kit, okay? The spoon is made out of hard, tough plastic. Soldiers like to take these, use them, and keep them, and so there's nothing wrong with that. So we could add that to our emergency food kit as an emergency food kit item. Here in the food part, you get a beverage powder, and depending on what you get, some of these MREs will have cappuccino mix in them or hot chocolate mix or whatever, so those are good. But if you find one with one of these drink powders in it, whether it be lemon, lime, or cherry or whatever, Kool-Aid, but it's basically almost like a Gatorade type item, you want to keep that and put that in your emergency food kit that you're going to rebuild out of this if you don't use it for your main meal once you begin to eat this as part of your meal, okay? Well, now you have your meals pretty much set. You have your bread item. Some of these come with a bread item. This particular one is tortillas, but sometimes you can get breadsticks in here, or you get like wheat bread or whatever in here. And then here's your main meal. Okay, this one happens to be beef taco filling, and I guess you're supposed to heat this up and then use the bread with it and make a field version of a taco. And then this has this particular bag is raisin mix, or what we would know as trail mix, and that again becomes part of your emergency food item that you could save out of here and use as part of your emergency food kit. So you could set that off to the side, okay? Now you have your heater and your sleeve to put your main course in, which is this. You put all that together, you heat your food up and eat it. And this item you can save if you've used this correctly, and these two items will go away. Okay, they go into the trash bin, so they're gone. You've eaten those for your lunch. You've sat down after walking and being on the trail or whatever for a couple of hours. You've eaten your lunch as part of your training exercise for whatever it is you're doing, or maybe you've been deployed and out on a foot patrol and you've sat down and had lunch, and that's done. Okay. So you take your items, and you had your bread item, you ate that. If not, that's another thing you could potentially save, but let's just assume for this particular demonstration we've eaten this, okay? So this is gone. So now you're left with this paper sleeve, and you're left with this secondary item, food item, and this particular one is rice and beans, okay? And then you're left with this bag, okay? This bag. This is a this is called a water bag or a beverage bag. It's not as thick as your MRE bag, but it is something to consider as part of your kit that you're going to rebuild out of this MRE, okay? So let's say you want to keep your secondary food item. Sometimes you have applesauce in here, sometimes you have other things that you want to keep as a secondary food item. So let's just say for our demonstration, we're going to keep this as part of our secondary, or as part of our emergency food item. Okay, so you get this trail mix, and now you have some starch in these beans. And the thing is with these, you would want to heat those up. So that's why a lot of people, when they get these secondary food items, they throw them away because there's no way to heat them up. So, or they manage to scavenge another MRE heater and sleeve out of one that's been thrown away and not used. So you've kept the food item. So let's say we reconsider the food item. So we take this secondary food item out because we don't have any way of heating it up. We don't like it. We don't like it cold. We're not going to eat it. So we toss it, okay? We get rid of it or we eat it. So now we're left with our nuts and raisins, our water bag, our MRE heater sleeve, our accessory packet, our MRE bag, our spoon, our cheese, our peanut butter, and our drink powder. Now, interesting. So we've kind of covered some things already from a survival perspective. Remember, the core of 4 in survival is food, water, fire, and shelter. So we've taken care of the food part. Well, where's the water part? Well, if you're in the military, you're carrying your water in a canteen at a minimum, and most likely you're carrying your water in a Camelback type water reservoir. So there's your water taken care of, but you got to collect water. So how do we collect water if we run out of water and we don't have any way of going to a water point and filling up our canteen or our water reservoir? Well, you have 2 items. You have this bag and you have this bag to collect water with, okay? Now, this one is not as robust, so you could collect water in this and then boil it in your canteen if you have a way of making a fire, or you can store some tinder in here, or you could do some other things with it. So, but it is a plastic Ziploc type bag that you can use for a couple of different things. Now, again, in the survival books, you can put this over leaves in the field if you're in an area that has leafy trees or leafy bushes, and you can, potentially collect water that way in here. Okay, so, or you could use your bag to go down to the stream or the lake and pull out, probably at least a liter of water in this, and then boil it if you have that way of doing it. Okay, so you have your accessory packet. So let's keep a hold of this for right now. Let's put this over here, and let's put this water bag over here for just a second. And let's look at this accessory packet. And let's put these other food items to the side here. Okay, let's look at this accessory packet. Here is kind of where we really hone in on the survival items being in an MRE. So we open it up, we dump it out. Okay, back in the day, when I first came in the military, these MREs had a little bottle of Tabasco sauce. They're not putting those in there anymore, unfortunately, but back in the day they would. But most of these are going to have a tea or a coffee. This one happens to have coffee, and it comes with a packet of creamer and some sugar and then some salt. All right, and then you get a little moist towelette to wipe your hands off with, and you get matches, and you get some Chiclets gum. That also goes into our emergency food item. And then you get this little thing called toilet paper. It's called toilet paper. And people get this, and if they haven't brought their own way to wipe themselves down with after they use the restroom, they get this out and they go like, wow, well, I guess I'll just have to use this. But there's not enough paper in here really for it to be effective for that application. So why does the military put this in here? Why is this so little tissue put in here? Well, some people will say, well, if you have a runny nose or you need to dab something, it gives you the ability to do that, and it certainly does. But from a survival perspective, most of you kind of know the answer to this. Why would they put this in here? The answer is tinder. Tinder. This is your dry tinder to start a fire with. Not only is the tissue dry tinder, but the little wrapper that it comes in is thin enough that once you break all this up and put it in a your tinder nest or whatever you're going to do it, how are you going to build your fire? You build your fire with that. The Army or the MRE comes with matches. Not all of them now are coming with matches, but back in the day, this was a standard item. Every MRE had matches and this toilet paper item in it. This is your fire kit. So from your MRE, you have a ready-made fire kit right here in these two items. You have your dry tinder and you have matches. You say, well, I don't like those matches, but I've used them. They're not that great. But if it's all you have and it's dry and then you haven't gotten them soaking wet, then they're going to be very useful to you in a pinch when you don't have anything else to make a fire with. Now, you say, well, why are you talking about this? Well, back in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, again, real world scenario, a couple of scouts went out on a training mission before we crossed the line and all that kind of thing, and they got lost out there in that desert. And we were told that the way they found them was that they took the toilet paper and the matches from the MRE and they built a survival fire. Well, in the open desert at night, a little flickering fire like that can be seen for miles. So when the helicopters went out to look for them, they were able to find them in the dark night because they could see this flickering flame. And when they went to investigate, it was these two soldiers who had hunkered down waiting for somebody to come and find them. And that's how they found them, was with this. So this is a practical application of how these things can be used. All right. So here's your fire kit right here. All right. Here's your fire kit. Over here is your emergency food kit. Additional tinder can be used with these moist towelettes because they're alcohol based. So there's an alcohol in here, rubbing alcohol, and you can tear these open and use them for a tinder as well. Okay, so again, consider this not as a hygiene item, although that's what it could be used for, but consider it as alcohol saturated cloth to be part of your fire kit. All right, so you have your coffee. Okay, coffee has its applications, but more often than not, it's just a comfort item. So you can keep it in there in your emergency food kit if that's what you want to do. All right. You have a creamer in here. Now the creamer, again, a comfort item. If you want to keep the creamer in there, that's okay. So you can put that in your, it doesn't take up a lot of space. You have your emergency food right here. You have your fire kit right here. So now you're left with sugar and salt. The sugar and salt packets. Well, the sugar's for the coffee, right? So what's the salt for? Well, that's to flavor your food with. Okay, that's an application. But this is also your electrolyte mix. You take the sugar and the salt and you put them together in your 1 liter canteen and you shake that up and drink it. Now you have an electrolyte drink. It's not going to taste like Gatorade, so don't expect it to. But if you don't have any electrolytes and you're getting low, guess what? These are going to come in handy for you as an emergency way of doing that, of hydrating yourself. Now, you can take the salt the sugar packet, or excuse me, the salt packet, and you can just put just a small little bit of it in your hand and put it in your mouth, and that'll kind of help you maintain the water that you do drink out of your canteen or your other water bottle item that you might have. So this goes into your hydration. This is your water or part of your hydration kit. So you have this. Now we're back to these. Now, paper, okay? You have this paper here. What do you do with the paper? You tear it up into little smaller pieces, and that goes to your tinder as well. So now you have a fire kit right here in your MRE, an emergency fire kit that you can keep in your rucksack or your backpack or your deployment bag as you see fit. So you take these, again, this is the salt sugar packet that goes in your emergency food. But again, these are part of your hydration as well. So that's why I kept them out. It goes over here, or you take this, now you have your hydration right here. Take the drink mix, okay? Sometimes that's a Gatorade type powder. So here you have your hydration. No, it doesn't have water purification tablets. They don't really issue those anymore like they used to, but they are still in inventory. But here's your water packet. You have your water packet, you have your fire kit, and now you have your emergency food kit, and now you have as limited as it is, you still have a hydration kit right here. So you take your bag, here, and you can put all that in your bag and keep it dry. This will be kind of like your dry sack, okay? So you take your hydration kit, you open up the bag, because it's just a simple Ziploc bag. You can stick that in there, okay? Like that, and turn it around, turn the items around so that you can roll this up. As you can see, it's a little bit of doing, but can be done. So you end up rolling this up, so it's nice and good. Okay, here's your water kit. Water kit goes in here. Okay, if you have another way of keeping this safe and sound, you can put this in a separate Ziploc bag, and that's your fire kit. Okay, fire kit goes in there. Your food kit, separate bag as well, goes back in the MRE bag. Okay, that goes down in there like that. Okay, fold that over, put some tape on there. Okay, it's nice and flat. Okay, and now you have your emergency kit from an MRE. Well, that's how you take an MRE and turn it into a ready-made survival kit. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope you've enjoyed what we've shown you here using a military type MRE. I look forward to your comments below and further discussion and further insights from you on that. With that being said, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be with you again here real soon with another video. So you guys take care, and always remember this, to stay safe, stay prepared, and eventually I want to see you out on the trail. Till next time, take care.